Shedeur Sanders has absolutely shocked the fashion world and made an extraordinary debut with luxury fashion brand Amiri in Paris. This is not a drill, people. We're talking about an $80 million deal that's sending shockwaves through both the sports and fashion industries. Stay with me because this story gets absolutely wild. So here's what went down. Both Shedeur and his brother Shiloh have reportedly signed a deal worth $80 million with Amiri. Yes, you heard that right.
Because Shedeur Sanders just rocked the fashion world with a move so big it does not even feel real. The Brown star made his high-fashion debut with luxury brand Amiri in Paris, and this is not your typical athlete endorsement. Reports are calling it an $80 million partnership, and it is turning heads across the NFL and the fashion industry at the same time.
I actually texted Shedeur because I know him very well, and I said, dude, like whatever happens, wherever you go, like that's your first day. Day two matters more than the draft. I was 199.
Yeah.
So who could speak on it better than me? Like what that really means. Use it as motivation. You're going to get your chances. Go take advantage of it. Like I remember like when they were talking about Aaron Rodgers sliding and Aaron slid to like 21 in the first round or whatever it was. I'm like, dude, you're the 21st pick in the first round. I think they still think you're.
Yo, let me tell you something. When Shedeur Sanders built AMIR, his clothing brand, his vision, his cultural statement to the entire fashion and sports world, he wasn't just building a business, he was building a declaration. A declaration that said everything you need to know about who this young man is beyond the football field, beyond the draft drama, beyond every narrative the NFL establishment has tried to write about him. And then Tom Brady, 7-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady, the man with the biggest platform in professional football media right now, sat down on live national television and lied about it. Directly, specifically, in front of millions of people, about AMIR, about what it is, what it represents, and what Shedeur built it to be. And Shedeur Sanders, he did not tweet, he did not send a representative, he did not let his father respond on his behalf. He shut Tom Brady down, personally, directly, publicly, in a way so clean, so precise, so completely devastating to Brady's credibility that the clip of Shedeur's response is now getting more views than Brady's original lie, and every single person who has watched both back-to-back is saying the exact same thing. Brady messed with the wrong quarterback's brand. And the shutdown that followed is going to be studied as one of the most perfectly executed public responses in the history of athlete brand protection. Let's get into every single layer of this right now.
And this isn't just some standard endorsement where they wear the clothes and post on Instagram. No. Both brothers are reportedly going to walk the runway in Paris. We're talking high fashion, European runways, the whole 9 yards. Shedeur Sanders is literally transitioning from touchdown celebrations to Fashion Week catwalks. And honestly, I'm here for it.
Shiloh, he has a better closet for sure. He has a little bit more free time.
All right, full picture, from the very beginning, because the Brady lie about AMIR did not happen in a vacuum, and the context surrounding it makes everything significantly more disturbing than the headline alone suggests. AMIR is not a side project. AMIR is not a celebrity vanity brand that an athlete slaps their name on for a passive income stream and a few Instagram posts. AMIR is a genuine, thoughtfully constructed, meticulously developed clothing brand that Shedeur Sanders built from the conceptual foundation up, with a specific aesthetic vision, a specific cultural message, and a specific audience in mind. The brand reflects Shedeur's personal identity in a way that goes far deeper than most athlete brand ventures ever attempt to go. The name itself carries meaning, the design language carries intention, the positioning in the fashion market was deliberate, researched, and executed with the kind of detail orientation that you would expect from someone who approaches everything in their life with the same obsessive preparation they bring to studying a defensive playbook. Fashion insiders who evaluated AMIR when it launched were not being polite when they called it impressive. They were being accurate. The quality of the product, the coherence of the brand identity, the sophisticated approach to market positioning, it all pointed to a young entrepreneur who had done real work, sought real mentorship from real people in the fashion industry, and brought genuine creative investment to every decision, rather than delegating the entire operation to a management team and showing up for photo shoots. AMIR mattered to Shedeur deeply, personally, in a way that went beyond commercial interest. And then, Tom Brady went on live television and treated it like a joke. Here's what Brady actually said, and I'm going to be as precise as possible because precision matters when we're talking about a public figure making specific claims on a national broadcast platform. Brady, during a segment that was ostensibly about young NFL players building business empires off the field, brought up Shedeur's AMIR brand in a context that immediately felt off to anyone who actually knew anything about what AMIR was and what it had already achieved. He described the brand in terms that were factually inaccurate about its market positioning. He made claims about the brand's commercial performance that contradicted what industry sources had been reporting. He questioned the authenticity of Shedeur's involvement in the creative process in a way that implied the brand was more manufactured celebrity product than genuine creative endeavor. So the big question is, why Shedeur? Why would Amiri, an elite luxury fashion brand, throw that kind of money at a football player? The answer is influence. The reports say Shedeur's influence has major fashion brands fighting for his attention, and Amiri knew they could not wait. They moved first. They moved big.
Now, fast forward recently to Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, goes viral, but not for football, but for how he structured his contract.
And then, and this is the part that crossed every line, he made a joke about it on live television in front of millions of people about something Shedeur Sanders had invested genuine passion, genuine time, and genuine creative identity into. The audience laughed, Brady moved on, the segment ended. And somewhere, Shedeur Sanders was watching, and the response he was already building in his head was going to be unlike anything Brady had prepared for. Now let's talk about why Brady's specific lies about AMIR landed so differently than standard sports media criticism. Because people misrepresent athletes' business ventures all the time. Analysts get details wrong, commentators make lazy assessments based on surface-level research. That happens constantly in the sports media landscape, and most of the time athletes and their teams file it away and move forward without making it a public confrontation. Shedeur chose differently this time, and the reason he chose differently tells you everything about what specifically Brady got wrong and why the wrongness of it demanded a public response rather than a quiet correction. The inaccuracies Brady put into circulation about AMIR were not the kind of errors that come from someone who did a quick search and got some details confused. They were the kind of errors that come from someone who either did no research at all, which given Brady's platform and resources would be a stunning level of carelessness, or who chose to frame what they knew inaccurately for a specific rhetorical purpose. The distinction between those two possibilities matters enormously, because one is negligence and one is something considerably worse. Sources close to Shedeur's camp say that the initial reaction internally when the clip started circulating was not anger, it was confusion. Genuine confusion about how a broadcaster with Brady's resources and Brady's supposedly thorough preparation approach could have gotten the specific details he got wrong in the specific direction he got them wrong, on the specific aspects of AMIR he chose to address. The confusion gave way to a more uncomfortable conclusion relatively quickly, and that conclusion is what made the decision to respond publicly feel not just appropriate, but necessary. Because here's the thing about lies told on massive broadcast platforms about a young entrepreneur's business. They don't stay contained to the moment they're told. They get clipped, they get shared, they get repeated in other contexts by people who saw Brady say it and assumed that someone with Brady's credibility had done their homework. They filter into the background noise around a brand at exactly the moment when that brand is trying to establish itself in a competitive market where reputation and perception matter enormously. Brady's lies about AMIR were not just factually wrong, they were potentially commercially damaging in ways that a simple correction in the comments section of a social media post could not adequately address. A public shutdown was required, and Shedeur delivered it. Watch this response clip from beginning to end, because what Shedeur Sanders delivered here is a masterclass in how you shut down a false narrative from a powerful platform without losing your dignity, without letting rage drive your messaging, and without giving the person who lied about you the satisfaction of seeing you destabilized by what they said. He started with the facts, not opinions about Brady's motivations, not emotional language about how the lies made him feel. Facts about AMIR. Specific, verifiable, documented facts that directly contradicted every inaccurate claim Brady had made on that broadcast. He named the inaccuracies one by one. He attached evidence to each one. He gave the audience, the same audience that had watched Brady's segment, everything they needed to independently verify that what Brady said was not what was actually true. Then he went one step further, and this is the part that turned a correction into a shutdown. He addressed why it mattered, not in a defensive way, not in a wounded way, in a clear-eyed, articulate, fully composed way that communicated something far more powerful than anger could have communicated. He explained what AMIR actually is, the vision, the intention, the creative work behind it, in a way that made Brady's dismissive framing of it look not just inaccurate, but genuinely uninformed about something that Shedeur had clearly thought about at a level Brady had not bothered to investigate. The contrast between Shedeur's depth of knowledge about his own brand and Brady's apparent absence of any meaningful research before going on live television to misrepresent it was so stark that it didn't need to be highlighted explicitly. It was just visible. Undeniably, completely visible to anyone watching both clips back to back.
To stay relevant and authentic in 2025 and beyond. So what can we learn from Shedeur Sanders? First, know your worth and don't be afraid to bet on yourself. Second, think long-term. Equity beats salary every single time. Third, diversify your income streams because your playing career won't last forever. And finally, stay authentic because that's what makes you valuable in the first place. Shedeur Sanders isn't just changing the game. He's rewriting the entire playbook for what it means to be a...
And then the receipts. Industry sources, sales figures, designer partnerships, commercial milestones that AMIR had already achieved that Brady's characterization of the brand as a casual celebrity side project simply could not survive contact with. Not because Shedeur was bragging, already devastating enough on its own. Brady has not directly responded. His team has not issued a correction. His broadcast partners have not addressed the inaccuracies on air. In every day that passes without a direct, specific, on-record acknowledgement from Brady that what he said about AMIR was wrong is a day that Shedeur's shutdown clip gains more views, reaches more people, and does more damage to the credibility of someone who used a massive platform irresponsibly against a young entrepreneur who deserved better. Here's the bigger picture underneath all of this. Tom Brady is not just a former quarterback turned broadcaster. He is now a media institution, a voice that shapes NFL narratives at a level that very few people in the history of the sport had ever occupied. And with that kind of platform comes a responsibility, a genuine, serious responsibility to get things right before going on national television and making specific claims about specific people and specific businesses. Especially young entrepreneurs who are building something real and who cannot defend themselves against misinformation with the same platform size that created the misinformation in the first place. Shedeur Sanders built AMIR with his own vision, his own creative investment, and his own genuine passion for fashion and design as an expression of cultural identity. He built it while simultaneously navigating everything the NFL threw at him. The draft drama, the quarterback competitions, the contract negotiations, the constant scrutiny. He built it the right way. And when someone with Brady's reach chose to misrepresent it on live television, Shedeur didn't fold. He didn't outsource the response. He showed up personally, armed with facts and composure and the kind of unshakable confidence in what he had built that no broadcaster's lazy lies could ever actually touch. That's who Shedeur Sanders is, and AMIR is proof of it. So here's what I need from your comments right now, and I want real, honest takes, because this question cuts right to the heart of athlete entrepreneurship and media accountability. Does Tom Brady owe Shedeur Sanders and AMIR a specific, on-record, broadcast-level correction for what he said on live television? Or is Shedeur's public shutdown sufficient accountability, and Brady's silence is just Brady being Brady? Because there's a principle at stake here that goes beyond one clothing brand and one broadcaster's careless segment. It's about whether the biggest platforms in sports media have any real obligation to accuracy when they discuss young athletes' business ventures, or whether athletes are just expected to absorb whatever gets said about them and respond as best they can from a smaller platform. What do you think? Drop it in the comments. This conversation deserves real engagement. Shedeur Sanders built AMIR from a genuine creative vision into a brand that fashion insiders recognized as something special. Tom Brady went on live television and lied about it in front of millions of people, and Shedeur shut it down so cleanly, so specifically, so completely, with facts and composure and documented receipts, that Brady's silence in the aftermath is the loudest response he could possibly have given. AMIR is real. The shutdown was real, and the lesson for anyone thinking about using a massive platform to misrepresent what this young man has built is very clear. Shedeur Sanders will find out, will show up, and will correct the record in a way you will not enjoy. If you want every update as this story develops, every response, every industry reaction, every new chapter in the AMIR story as it continues to grow, hit that subscribe button right now. We stay ahead of every story before the mainstream even wakes up. We don't miss, we don't fold, we always ride with the truth. Let's go.